parts of the colon?
Ascending colon, transverse colon, descending colon, and the sigmoid colon.
And what are the special features present in the large intestine, or the characteristic features of this large intestine?
Tinea coli, it is the longitudinal thickening, and another one is the ostrations and circulation, and the epopolic appendices.
Epopolic appendices. So how Tinea coli is formed?
It is formed by thickening of the longitudinal muscles of the large intestine.
They are of 3 types.
Yes, ma'am.
What are
First one is Tinea livera, Tinea omenthalis, and the Tinea mesocolica.
The arrangement is different in transverse and ascending and descending colon.
Yes, ma'am.
It is same. It is different in the transverse colon. Do you know its arrangement in transverse colon?
Yes, ma'am. In transverse colon, the Tinea livera is present inferiorly. Tinea omenthalis is found superiorly, and Tinea mesocolica is found posteriorly.
Okay, good. And last time we have studied this descending colon, sigmoid colon, transverse colon, ascending colon, etc. Now we are studying about the rectum and the anal canal. So rectum means a straight tube. Rectum means it is a straight tube. It is straight in case of the quadrupeds animals, but in man it is not straight. It presents a curvatures. Because of that reason, because of the presence of the curvature, the rectum is misnamed in man. Though the rectum means it is a straight tube, but in case of the man, it is not a straight tube because it presents a curvatures. Okay, so what is the meaning of the rectum? It means a straight tube. So what is the extent of the rectum? It extends from rectosigmoid junction to anorectal junction. Extend from the rectosigmoid junction to anorectal junction. Rectosigmoid junction, it lies in front of third sacral vertebra. Rectosigmoid junction, it lies in front of third sacral vertebra, and anorectal junction, it lies 2 to 3 centimeter in front of the tip of coccyx and slightly below of the coccyx. Rectosigmoid junction, it lies in front of the third sacral vertebra, whereas the anorectal junction, it lies 2 to 3 centimeter in front and slightly below of the tip of coccyx. Okay, it extends from the rectosigmoid junction to the anorectal junction. Rectosigmoid junction, it lies in front of third sacral vertebra, and anorectal junction, it lies 2 to 3 centimeter in front and slightly below of the tip of coccyx. Measurements: the length of the rectum, it is about the 12 centimeter long, and breadth, it is about 4 centimeter. It is about 4 centimeter, and near to the anorectal junction, the rectum is dilated. Rectum is dilated, and that dilated part is called rectal ampulla, or the ampulla of rectum. Near to the anorectal junction, the rectum is dilated to form ampulla of rectum. And from downwards, onwards, it becomes tapered to form the anal canal. Now, this rectum, it presents the 2 curvatures. They are the antero-posterior curvatures, and lateral curvatures. Antero-posterior curvature, it corresponds with the sacrococcygeal curve and the perineal curve. Antero-posterior curvature, it corresponds with the sacrococcygeal curve. The posterior wall of the rectum, it is convex. It is convex, whereas at the junction of anorectal junction, it is convex forward. And anorectal junction, it is kept in position by a ring of the muscle called as the puborectal muscle, which is formed by the levator ani muscle. Puborectal sling of the muscles of levator ani muscles keep the anorectal junction in position. So we said that two curvatures are there. One is the antero-posterior curvature, which corresponds with sacrococcygeal and the perineal curvatures, and three lateral curvatures are present: upper, middle, and the lower curvatures. Upper, middle, and the lower curvatures. Upper and the lower curvatures, it is present on the right lateral wall of the rectum. Upper and the lower curvatures, it is present on right lateral wall of the rectum, whereas the middle curvatures, it is present in the left lateral wall of rectum. Understood? There are three lateral curvatures: upper, middle, and the lower curvatures. Upper curvature, middle curvature, and lower curvature. This upper and the lower curvature, it is present in right lateral wall of the rectum, whereas the middle curvature, it is present in the left lateral wall of rectum. It extends from the rectosigmoid junction to the anorectal junction. Vertebral level is third sacral vertebra, rectosigmoid junction, and anorectal junction. It lies 2 to 3 centimeter in front and slightly below of the tip of coccyx. Length, you know, it is about the how many centimeter? 12 centimeter. 12 centimeter. Now the relations of the rectum. Relations of the rectum, in case of the male and the female, it is different. Anteriorly only it is different. Posteriorly is the same. Posterior relations of the rectum, in case of the male and the female, they are same. And the relations are the sacrum and the coccyx, anococcygeal ligament or the anococcygeal raphe, levator ani muscles, coccygeus muscle. These are the posterior relations of the rectum. Anterior relations, it is different in case of the male and the female. In case of the male, before that relations, anteriorly, the upper 2/3 of the rectum, in case of both male and the female, it is covered by the peritoneum. See, this light blue is the peritoneum. So only the upper 2/3 of the rectum, it is covered by the peritoneum. From the rectum, now the peritoneum is reflex. In case of the male, towards the upper surface of the urinary bladder. This is the urinary bladder, also called as the vesicae. So from the rectum, the peritoneum, it is reflex on the superior surface or on the base or upper surface of the bladder, forming a pouch. Forming a pouch. This pouch is named as the rectovesical pouch. Rectovesical pouch. Rectovesical pouch, it is a peritoneal reflection from rectum to the upper surface of urinary bladder. Urinary bladder, also called as the vesicae. So rectovesical pouch containing the sigmoid colon and coils of ileum. So the upper 2/3 of the rectum, it is covered by the peritoneum, and the peritoneum is reflex on the upper surface of the bladder, forming the rectovesical pouch, and that rectovesical pouch contains the sigmoid colon and coils of ileum. coils of ileum. Now, lower one third is of the rectum is non-peritoneal. It is not covered by the peritoneum, non-peritoneal. And anteriorly, in case of the male, it is related with seminal vesicle, prostate gland, ejaculatory duct, and vas deferens. So, what are the relations, anterior relations of the lower one third of the rectum? In case of male, seminal vesicle, ejaculatory duct, part of the vas deferens, and prostate gland. Clear? See, this diagram illustrates the male relations of the rectum in case of male. Now, in case of the female, in between the rectum and urinary bladder, there is a female reproductive organs are the uterus and the vagina. But it is absent in case of the male uterus and the vagina. So there is formations of the rectovesical pouch. As in case of the female uterus and the vagina, it is present in between the bladder and the rectum. Now there is also a peritoneal reflections from the rectum to the uterus as well as the proximal part of the vagina. Now it forms the which pouch? Recto-uterine pouch of Douglas, not the rectovesical pouch. Recto-uterine pouch of Douglas. Clear? In case of the female, when there is a reflections of the peritoneum between the bladder and the rectum forming the rectovesical pouch. But in case of the female, in between the bladder and the rectum, there is a uterus and the vagina. Now, when there is a reflections of the peritoneum, the rectal peritoneum, it reflects to the posterior surface of the uterus and the proximal part of the posterior surface of the vagina, forming the recto-uterine pouch of Douglas. Recto-uterine pouch of Douglas containing the same structures. They are the sigmoid colon and coils of ileum. This is the upper two-third anterior relations of the rectum. Now, lower one-third of the rectum, anteriorly, it is related with posterior wall of the vagina. Clear? Huh? Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
See, anteriorly, upper two-third forming the rectovesical pouch containing the sigmoid colon and the coils of intestine. Lower one-third of the rectum, it is non-peritoneal and related with the base of the urinary bladder, seminal vesicle, vas deferens, and the prostate gland. In case of the female, upper two-third forms the posterior surface of vagina. The interior of the rectum, there will find the two folds. They are the longitudinal folds and the horizontal folds. Longitudinal folds, it is present towards the ampulla of the rectum. Longitudinal folds are present on the ampulla of the rectum, and these are the temporary mucosal folds. On distension of the rectum, it will disappear. Okay, temporary longitudinal mucosal folds, they are present on the rectal ampulla, and it is temporary because in the distension of the rectum, it will disappear. And transverse mucosal fold. Transverse mucosal fold are the permanent mucosal fold. Transverse mucosal folds are the permanent mucosal folds, and this longitudinal and the transverse folds, they are formed by the reduplications of the mucous membrane. Longitudinal folds as well as the transverse folds, they are formed by the reduplications of the mucous membranes. Transverse folds, they are the permanent folds, and also they are named as the Houston's valve. There are also transverse folds or the horizontal folds or the horizontal valves, also known as the Houston's valves. And they are three in number: superior, middle, and inferior. Okay, Houston's valves or the horizontal valves or the transverse valves. These are the permanent mucosal folds, and they are 3 in number: superior, middle, and inferior. Superior, middle, and inferior. These Houston's valves, they arise from the opposite of the concavity of the lateral cords. You know, lateral cords are 3 in number: upper, middle, and the lower. And from the concavity, opposite of the concavity of these lateral cords, arise the Houston's valves or the transverse mucosal folds. They arise opposite of the concavity of the lateral curvatures. Understanding? Huh? Houston valves, 3 in number. From where it arises? It arises opposite of the concavity of the lateral curvatures. There are 3 curvatures: upper curvatures, middle curvatures, and the inferior curvatures or the lower curvatures. So, first valve or the superior Houston valves, it arise opposite of the upper curvatures, opposite of the lateral upper curvatures, and it is present in the left lateral wall. It is present in the left lateral wall of the rectum, and it lies about 2.5 centimeter cranial to the middle Houston valves or the middle transverse valve. Now the second valve or the middle valve, it is present opposite of the middle lateral curvatures. It is present opposite of the middle lateral curvatures, and this middle Houston valves, it is present in the left. It is present on the right. It is present on the right lateral wall of the rectum. Now the inferior valve, it is present opposite of the lower lateral curvatures, and it is present in the right lateral wall of the rectum. It is present in the right lateral wall of the rectum, and this middle valve, it lies about 5.5 centimeter above the external anal orifice. 5.5 centimeter above the 7.5 centimeter above the external anal orifice. 7.5 centimeter above the external anal orifice lies the middle Houston valves. 2.5 centimeter above the middle valve is the superior valve, and 2.5 centimeter distal to the middle valve is the inferior valve. And this middle valve divides the rectum into the upper and the lower chambers. This middle valve divides the rectum into the upper and the lower chambers, which is functionally and developmentally it is different. Upper chamber, it develops from the pre-allantoic part of the hindgut, whereas the lower part, it develops from the cloaca. Upper part develops from the hindgut, whereas the lower part, it develops from the cloaca. And upper chamber, it is a reservoir for the fecal contents without the reflex act of the defecation, whereas lower chambers, when the fecal materials comes into the lower chambers, there is a defecation starts. Upper chamber, it is a reservoir for the fecal contents. When the fecal contents come in the lower chamber, defecation spontaneously starts. Now the blood supply of the rectum. The arterial supply of the rectum, it is by the 5 arteries. superior rectal artery, a pair of the middle rectal artery and the pair of the inferior rectal artery. Superior rectal artery, it is a continuation of the inferior mesenteric artery. Superior rectal artery is a continuation of the inferior mesenteric artery. And this is the chief arterial supply for the rectum. Which is the chief arterial supply of the rectum? It is a superior rectal artery and it is a continuation of inferior mesenteric artery. Middle rectal artery, it is a branch of the anterior division of internal iliac artery. Middle rectal artery, it is a branch of the anterior division of internal iliac artery. And the inferior rectal artery, it is a branch of the internal pudendal artery. Inferior rectal artery is a branch of internal pudendal artery. And the venous drainage, the rectal veins, they are arranged in a plexus. They are known as the annulus hemorrhoids. Annulus hemorrhoids, and they are arranged in two sets. They are arranged in the two sets. They are the internal rectal venous plexus and external rectal venous plexus. Venous drainage of the rectum. These rectal veins, they are arranged in the plexus known as the annulus hemorrhoids, and they are of two sets, internal rectal venous plexus and the external rectal venous plexus. This internal and the external rectal venous plexus, they are free in communication. They are freely communicate. Internal rectal venous plexus, it drains in the portal system or the portal veins, whereas the external rectal venous plexus will be drained in the systemic vein. Will be drained in the systemic vein. Now the upper part of the internal rectal venous plexus, they will drain by the superior rectal vein. They will drain by the superior rectal vein, and the superior rectal vein drain in the portal vein. It will be drained in the portal vein. And the external rectal venous plexus, they will communicate with the systemic vein via the middle rectal vein and the inferior rectal vein and drain into the vena cava system. Drain in the vena cava system. Clear? Blood supply. It is supplied by arterial supply, superior rectal artery, middle rectal, a pair of the middle rectal arteries, inferior rectal arteries. Chief arterial supply is the superior rectal artery. Principal artery of the rectum is the superior rectal artery, which is the continuations of the inferior mesenteric artery. And the venous drainage, it corresponds with the arteries and drain via the superior rectal vein, middle rectal vein, and the inferior rectal vein. Superior rectal vein, it is a part of the portal system. Middle and the inferior rectal vein, these are the vena cava system. Now the lymphatic drainage. Lymphatic drainage of the rectum. Upper part of the rectum. Upper part of the rectum, it drains in the inferior mesenteric lymph nodes. Inferior mesenteric lymph nodes. Whereas the lower part of the rectum, it drains in the internal iliac lymph nodes. Upper part, inferior mesenteric lymph nodes, and the lower part, it drains in the internal iliac lymph nodes. Nerve supply, it is supplied by the sympathetic and the parasympathetic nervous system. Sympathetic via the L1 and the L2 segments of the spinal cord by the hypogastric plexus, and parasympathetic via the pelvic splenic nerve. This pelvic splenic nerve, also called as the nervi adjunctis, and it is formed by the S2, S3, S4 segments of the spinal cord. How pelvic splenic nerve or the nervi adjunctis is formed? It is formed by the S2, S3, S4 segments of the spinal cord. Pelvic splenic nerves or the nervi adjunctis. Applied anatomy, colonoscopy, that is to visualize the instrument which is used to visualize the interior of the colon. then prolapse of the rectum, and the cancer. And the importance of the rectal valve. See, what is the importance of the rectal valve? The functions of this rectal valve is to hold the fecal materials. And it also prevents the transmissions of the instrument unless it is carefully passed. And the middle rectal valve is the important rectal valve. So to prevent the middle rectal valve, the instrument has to be passed towards the left lateral wall of the rectum. To prevent the damage of the middle rectal valve, the instrument has to pass towards the left lateral wall of the rectum, because this middle valve, it is present in the right lateral wall of the rectum. Clear? And the rectum, it is supported by what structure supports the rectum, or the supports of the rectum? It is supported by the Valgus fascia, perineal body, levator ani muscles, anococcygeal raphe. Now, another important of the rectum is the per-rectal examinations, or the PR, per-rectal examinations. In case of the female, this per-rectal examinations helps to know the conditions of the uterus. And rectal examination in case of the female, in non-pregnant lady, it helps to know the conditions of the vagina and the uterus. But in case of the pregnant lady, it helps to know the positions of the fetus. In case of the male, the rectal examinations, when we insert the fingers via the external orifice, anal orifice, it helps to know the conditions of bladder, seminal vesicle, and the prostate in case of male. Clear? In case of the female, it helps to know the conditions of the uterus and the vagina. And in pregnant lady, it helps to know the positions of the fetus. In case of the male, it helps to know the conditions of the seminal vesicle, ejaculatory duct, vas deferens, as well as the prostate gland, as well as the posterior surface of the bladder. How many transverse valves are present? Houston valves?
3.
3. Among them, which one is important?
Middle one is important.
Why it is important?
Because during the insertion of the instrument, to prevent the injury, we must pass the instrument through the right lateral wall of the rectum.
Because it divides the rectum into the upper and the lower chambers. And upper chambers, its functions and the developmentally, it is different. So it is a demarcation point. Also, yes, you told that while passing the instrument, for that reason, we have to pass the instrument carefully, colonoscope carefully, towards the left lateral wall of the rectum, not towards the right lateral wall, because in the right lateral wall, important valve is present. And the functions of this valve is to hold the fecal materials. Otherwise, there may have the incontinence of the defecations. Now, the terminal part of the gastrointestinal tract is the anal canal. Terminal part of the gastrointestinal tract is the anal canal, and this anal canal, it extends from the anorectal junction to the external orifice of the anal canal, which lies in between the natal cleft of the two buttocks. And the length of the anal canal, it is about the 4 or the 3.8 centimeter. 3.8 or the 4 centimeter. It extends from the anorectal junction to the external orifice of the anal canal, which lies in between the natal cleft of the two buttocks. Length 3.8 centimeter. And this anal canal, it is divided into the three parts: upper part, middle part, and the lower part. This upper part is the mucous part. Upper part is the mucous part, and its length, it is about the 15 mm. Length of the upper mucous part, it is about the 15 millimeter. Middle, it is also a mucous part, and or also called as the pecten part. Its length, it is also about the 15 mm. Now the lower part is the cutaneous part, and it is about the 8 millimeter. So 15 millimeter, 15 millimeter, and the 8 millimeter. Now the upper mucous part. What structures are present in the upper mucous part? So there are presence of the anal columns, anal valves, anal columns, anal valves, anal sinus. What structures are present in the upper mucous part? The length of the upper mucous part is 15 mm, and there is a presence of the anal columns, anal valves, anal sinus, and the anal papillae. So what is anal columns? Anal columns are the longitudinal mucosal folds. Anal columns are the longitudinal vertical folds or the longitudinal mucosal folds, which is formed by the reduplications of the mucous membrane. And their number is about the 6 to 10. There are 6 to 10 vertical or the longitudinal mucosal folds are present. These longitudinal mucosal folds are called as the anal columns of Morgagni. Their number is about 6 to 10. And the lower end of the anal column, they are connected by the anal valves. So these are the anal valves. Lower end of the anal column, they are connected by the anal valves. And this anal valves forms a continuous line, zigzag line. It is called as the dentate line or the pectinate line. Clear? Pectinate line, it is formed by the continuations transverse line formed by the anal valves. So anal valve, it forms a continuous transverse line, and that line is named as a pectinate line or dentate line. And above the anal valves, there is a presence of the depressions. This depression is called as the anal sinus. And in this anal sinus, there is the opening of the ducts of anal glands. See, this rectum anal canal, it is very much important. So what structures are present in the interior of the upper mucous part of the anal canal? Anal columns, anal valves, anal sinus, and the anal papilla. So what is anal column? These are the longitudinal mucosal folds formed by the reduplications of the mucous membrane, and around 6 to 10 vertical folds are present. These vertical folds are called as the anal columns of Morgagni. And the lower ends of the anal column, they are connected by the anal valves. And this anal valves forms a continuous transverse line connecting the anal column called as the pectinate line or the dentate line. Above the anal valve, presence of the depressions called as the anal sinus, and in the anal sinus there is a presence of the or the openings of the ducts of the anal glands. And sometimes the free margin of the anal valve presents the epithelial projections. Those epithelial projections are called as the anal papilla. Anal papilla. And the lining epithelium of the upper mucous part, it is lined by the simple columnar epithelium. It is lined by the simple columnar epithelium. Now the middle mucous part, its length, it is about the 15 mm. Length about 15 mm, and it is lined by the non-keratinized stratified squamous epithelium. It is lined by the non-keratinized stratified squamous epithelium. Non-keratinized stratified squamous epithelium. And at the lower end of the internal anal sphincter, see here it is the internal anal sphincter, and external is the external anal sphincter, which is present outside of the anal canal, or in the mucous layer. There is a presence of the internal anal sphincter and the external anal sphincter. Internal anal sphincter, it is a involuntary muscle. Internal anal sphincter is a involuntary muscle, whereas the external anal sphincter, it is a voluntary muscle. External anal sphincter is a voluntary muscle. Internal anal sphincter is the involuntary muscles. And this internal anal sphincter, it is supplied by the autonomic nervous system, and external anal sphincter is supplied by somatic nerves. Somatic nerves, that is the inferior rectal nerve and the perineal branch of the fourth sacral nerve. So at the lower end of the internal anal sphincter, there is an imaginary line. There is an imaginary line at the level of the lower end of the internal anal sphincter, called as the Hilton's line. Called as the Hilton's line. So intermediate part, it lies in between the pectinate line and Hilton's line. Pectinate line and the Hilton's line. And on either sides, it is guarded by the, which plexus is this? Internal or the external? Venous plexus. Here, this is the internal venous plexus. So it is surrounded by the internal venous plexus. So it imparts the bluish pink in color. Bluish pink in color. Now the lower cutaneous part. Lower cutaneous part, it lies below of the Hilton's line, and it is lined by a true skin, means it is lined by lining epithelium is the keratinized stratified squamous epithelium, where there is sweat and the sebaceous glands are present, and it develops from the proctodeum. Proctodeum. All of you know what is pectinate line or the dentate line? Yes or no? It is present on the lower end of the anal columns. And this pectinate line, it is called as the watershed line. Pectinate line is called as the watershed line. Why it is called as the watershed line? Because above the pectinate line and the below of the pectinate line, its nerve supply, its blood supply, innervation, lymphatic drainage is totally different. Above the pectinate line and the below of the pectinate line, its lymphatic drainage, nerve supply, blood supply is different. So above the pectinate line of the rectum as well as the anal canal, it is drained arterial supply. It is supplied by the branches of the inferior mesenteric artery, that is the superior rectal artery. Superior rectal artery. Venous drainage, it drains in the portal venous system. Lymphatic drainage, it drains in the internal iliac lymph nodes, and the nerve supply is, it is supplied by the sympathetic and the parasympathetic. Sympathetic via the L1 and the L2 segments of the spinal cord, and the parasympathetic via the S2, S3, S4 segments of the spinal cord known as the pelvic splanchnic nerves. Whereas below of the pectinate line of the anal canal, its arterial supply. It is supplied via the branches of the internal iliac artery. Venous drainage, it drains in the vena cava system. Lymphatic drainage, it drains in the superficial inguinal lymph nodes. See, in the MCQ, it may be asked. Lymphatic drainage above the pectinate lines. Where it drains? Internal iliac lymph nodes, superficial inguinal lymph nodes, inferior mesenteric lymph nodes, and the superior mesenteric lymph nodes. Where it drains? Above the pectinate lines. Where?
Internal iliac lymph nodes.
Internal iliac lymph nodes. So for the MCQ or in the Viva, it may be asked, what is the importance of the pectinate line? And once the pectinate line is damaged, there is a widespread communications of the lymphatic drainage. So the infections, it may be transmitted above and below. Above and the below. Okay? And the nerve supply, it is supplied by the somatic, motor, and the sensory innervation. Somatic via the inferior rectal nerve and perineal branch of the fourth sacral nerve. Perineal branch of the fourth sacral nerve. Now the applied anatomy for the anal canal, anal fissure. So during the passage of the hard dry stool, it may rupture the anal valves. It may rupture the anal valves during the passage of the dry hard feces. It ruptures the anal valves, which is a very painful condition. As it is communicated with the skin surface, it is richly supplied by the somatic nerve, so it is very painful. That is called as the anal fissures. Anal fissure means during the passage of the dry hard feces, it may rupture the valves of the anal canal. Valves of the anal canal resulting into the anal fissure. And anal fissure is a very much painful conditions. Now another is the anal fistula. Anal fistula is a tract, or the anal fistula is a tract which communicates to the two surfaces, anorectal mucosa with the skin. So anal fistula means a bridge or the tract which communicates the mucosa with the skin or the external surfaces is the anal fistula. Now the hemorrhoids. Hemorrhoids means the dilatations of the veins of the rectum, lower end of the rectum and the anal canal. Dilatations of the veins of the lower end of the rectum and the anal canal due to the increased portal pressure or during the portal hypertension. During the portal hypertension, the veins of the lower end of the rectum and the anal canal, they get dilated to form the hemorrhoids. And hemorrhoids are of two types, internal and the external hemorrhoids. Internal and the external hemorrhoids. Internal hemorrhoids, it lies above the pectinate line. Pectinate line, the hemorrhoids which is present above the pectinate line is the internal hemorrhoids and below is the external hemorrhoids. Internal hemorrhoids, as they are not supplies the autonomic nervous system, they are insensitive to pain. It is insensitive to pain, whereas the external hemorrhoids are painful because they not supplies the somatic nervous system. Internal hemorrhoids is pain sensitive or insensitive,
Pain
and the
insensitive.
external is the pain sensitive because of the nerve supply. External, they are supplied by the somatic nerves, whereas the internal are supplied by the autonomic nervous system. Okay, external hemorrhoids. The arterial supply for the this foregut, midgut, and the hindgut. Derivatives of the foregut, they are supplied by the branches of the celiac trunk. Branches of the celiac trunk, they are supplied by the branches of the celiac trunk. They supply the derivatives of the foregut. Superior mesenteric artery, they supply the derivatives of the midgut. and the inferior mesenteric artery, they supply the derivatives of hindgut. And these superior celiac trunk, mesenteric, inferior mesenteric artery, all they are the branches of the abdominal aorta. So what is the junctions of the foregut, midgut and the hindgut? Foregut. The junctions of the foregut and the midgut is the major duodenal papilla. You know, all of you know the major duodenal papilla. It is present in the second part of the duodenum. So it is the junction for the foregut and the midgut. Okay. Junctions of the foregut and the midgut, it is the major duodenal papilla, and the junctions of the midgut and the hindgut is the junctions of the right 2/3 of the transverse colon and the left 1/3 of the transverse colon. Understanding? Okay. Next time we will study. Okay. Thank you.